Alright, so just rigged up a little thing here just to try and show people. This is going to be very rough, but hopefully it'll get the point across. So when we're trying to help with diagnostics, we've got issues with people having suitable chargers to keep the battery charged while doing diagnosis. And really that's number one thing, to have the battery fully charged and supported while performing your diagnosis. Bikes will draw a fair amount of current. This one here is an 09 Daytona 675 and that draws 4 amps with ignition on and the headlights on. If I put the high beam on, it goes to 8 amps. So ordinarily, once you've got your diagnostic tool on there, your TXB will draw about an amp as well. So you're going to have on this bike 4 or 5 amps draw at all times with the ignition on. And if the battery's in poor condition to start with or pretty flat, you're just going to go around in circles when you're trying to perform your diagnosis. So as an example, I've got an Optimate 6, which is a 5 amp automatic retail charger. I've got the Optimate Pro 1 Duo, which is our new combined lead acid and lithium charger, and also has power supply mode, which is precisely what this situation is for. So just going to try and run through quickly to show you the difference. So in the first instance, we've got this meter here is rigged up to show current draw on the bike from the battery. At the moment, obviously everything is off. We've got 0.01, 0.02, that's just general drain from the ECU. That's why the batteries go flat if they're left unused without a maintenance charger. This one here is a clamp meter, and that will show us the current being sent to the battery from the charger when it's switched on. And then we've got this here, which you probably can't see very well, but that just shows our voltage at the battery, currently 12.34, and ignition is off. So 12.3, 12.4 is the current battery voltage. So I'm going to turn the ignition on. And high beam is on. I'll turn that off. So high beam off, headlights are on, just sitting here. If you had your TXB connected, there'll be another roughly an amp drawn. So we've got 4.5 amps drawn from the battery, and this bike has got a tiny 6 amp hour AGM battery in it. If you've got a lithium battery in it, the voltage will be okay for a bit, but they are not really designed to be supplying current for any period of time either. And our voltage is now down to 11.9 already. So we've just got the ignition on, the bike's sitting there, that's all we're doing. So next we have, we will put the charger on. So this is going to be equivalent to what a lot of guys have got in the workshop for use. They're basically retail chargers. They are automatic intelligent chargers, could be an Optimate. This one I'm using as an Optimate 6, that's a 5 amp charger. Anything less than that, absolute waste of time. If you're using a trickle charger, a 1 amp trickle charger, 2 amp trickle charger, it's not going to do anything. So you could be using a Noco, a C-Tech, a Moto-Tech charger. Any of those of the larger current will be okay, but they are designed to charge a battery in an intelligent manner, and they are not going to do what you need them to do to keep the battery voltage up and the current counteracting the draw from the bike. Particularly if you're doing actuations and tests on the bike, it's just going to suck the battery dry, and then you'll end up having to stop and wait until your battery is fully charged again, because those chargers cannot provide the support that you need in terms of current and voltage. So I'm going to switch the Optimate 6 on. So you would then be looking at this one to see the current that's going into the battery from the charger. So we turn that on, it does a little flashing, and then it'll do their checks, and then it goes into charge mode, and eventually it will start ramping up current, doing its charging tests, but we are drawing current, so it's going to get a little bit confused. So we can see that current gradually going up, 3 amps, 4 amps. Our voltage has gone up to 12.2. 5 amps, so we're at the maximum charge current. Bear in mind that clamp meter is not massively accurate, but it's pretty good within 200 or 300 milliamps. So we're at 4.9 and the charger will just carry on and attempt to raise that battery. Now what it's trying to do is raise the battery voltage to 14.3 volts. Most intelligent chargers will aim to get around about that point. Once they hit that point, they then go to maintenance mode, so you then won't be getting any current really. You might get a small amount, but generally they're into maintenance mode and you just get float voltage and no current. So the voltage support won't be enough because there'll be no current to back it up. So your battery will still go flat and your charger will indicate that the battery is no good and it's not holding voltage. So you'll end up having to reset your charger again once you've realised, and you may only realise once you've lost diagnostic communication. And if you're in the middle of something that you don't want that to happen, you're in a bit of bother. So we're 12.3 volts still, so 12.3 volts is okay. Ignition is still on, and that's kind of working. So we're drawing 4.5 amps and we're putting in just under 5 amps. So we're kind of equal, so that's okay. It'll do, but this is an 09 bike. A lot of modern bikes will be drawing more than 5 amps in this with the ignition on. So if I turn the headlamp on, our current's going up to 8 amps. Our battery voltage is going to start dropping. We're at 12 now. If I leave that on, it will keep going down. Our charger cannot do any more than that because it's on its maximum current. That's the charger I'm using, Optimate 6 Ampmatic. Just as a demonstration, as I say, it could be any intelligent charger, C-Tech, Noco, any of the brands that people do have in the workshops. Okay, so we're 7.8, so we'll turn that off. We've got still down to 12.1, so it's okay. And we will turn the charger off and we'll turn the ignition off. So we can see our system draw is now at 0.4 of an amp, half an amp. That's the ECU and system drawing the current still until it finally shuts down. That'll eventually shut down completely and be at 0.02 amps again. And then this is just our inaccuracy with the clamp meter. And our battery voltage is at 12.2. Okay, so our ECU is now powered down and eventually that will drop off. The ignition is off. So another 30 seconds or so and that will go to 0 effectively. So we will just wait for that to happen. Now what I will do is hook up our Optimate Pro Duo, which has power supply mode, which is this mode here, and we'll hook that up. Okay, so ECU shut down, we've got no draw now effectively, so we know everything is down. So I'll disconnect the Optimate 6. Great chargers, just not for this job. And we'll plug in our Optimate Pro 1 Duo. So we will have that in power supply mode. Let's see if I can get it down here to see it. So no current draw, no current going in, battery voltage 12.2 currently, ignition is off. Turn it on, and we're going to put it into power supply mode, so we press this button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and that indicates power supply mode. So there we go, and we've got 5 amps, 6 amps, 7 amps, 8 amps, 9 amps going in there, and our battery voltage is already at 13.6. Okay, so this is supplying enough current to counteract any draw, and will allow us to perform our diagnosis if we have to. I haven't got a diagnostics connected, this is just purely for battery purposes. So we've got 9.3 amps going in, roughly. Again, it's not particularly accurate, but around 9 amps. Ignition is still off. Our voltage is at 13.9. So already we've got more voltage than we did with the 5 amp charger fitted. And we've got 9 amps ready to go. So the current and the voltage are both being controlled and monitored by the Optimate Pro 1 Duo. So we'll turn the ignition on. So our voltage is still at 13 volts. We had 8 amps while the pump was priming. We're back to 4.7 just with the ignition on and headlights on, no high beam. And we still have 9 amps going to the battery from the Pro Duo. That will be my meter going to power down. Let's reset that. Reset that. Okay, so we've got the current and we've got 13, still got 13.3. So we've got the bike on, the ignition is on, bike is drawing 4.7 amps, charger is putting in 9.3 amps, we still have 13.3 volts. If I turn high beam on, we're getting 8 amps, 9 amp charge current, and 12.9 volts at the battery. So we've got good support, and that is what the Optimate Pro 1 Duo is for, to give you good support and allow you to perform diagnosis. So that's just a quick demo. I'll probably try and do a better one at some point, but that should give people an idea.